Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to our colleagues for the presentation and your work at your committee. We've heard conflicting testimony here, as I'm sure you have heard with your committee also, in regards to many aspects of this bill. Eventually, we're going to find our way, eventually, whenever that is, following up on Senator Munson's comments, to get into clause by clause. I'm just wondering, we have a list of witnesses. Is there any witnesses that appear before your committee that you think that our committee should hear from before we get to the point of clause for clause? Because that's basically where we're going to, the end game here. So I'm just wondering, is there anybody there that you heard that you think would add to, that maybe didn't have enough time to deal with at your committee, that we should take here? Is there anybody that you would suggest?
I suggest to you, Senator, I'll be very quick. And in the appendix of our report, you have the list of witnesses that we heard. And I think that there is a capacity there for your steering committee to read first our report that gives a summary of the witnesses, of all the witnesses that we have heard. And it's a summary of 10 pages, so it's not unreadable. And you could certainly, with the references that is attached to these testimonies that we have heard, the references are on the bottom, you can make up easily your mind of which witness addressed an issue that you think is an important priority for you. So instead for me then to go through the list and say this one and not this one, you have the list, you have what they have said in a very succinct and very usable form, and I suggest that your steering or any of you go through this and you could identify easily, which one you should hear. And we remain available ourselves to you if you want us, on that basis of list to give your comments, quick comments. We're totally available to you for that.
Yep.
One more time.
Thank you, Senator. Based on what you have heard, and we have some testimony already today, in regards to a delay, we have the Aboriginal Committee announcing yesterday. So in your judgment, you're all of legal background, understanding the process of what will happen once this becomes law. Do you think it's in the best interests of the country to have a delay with this legislation?
Well, I have my own personal opinion. It is the opinion of the committee.
I'd like to hear it.
So I would like to point out to the comments that are included in the report. There are observations that, I should say speaks for themselves. I have my own opinion on this. I will certainly stand up in the Senate on third reading and make it. My responsibility is to chair and make sure that we work together and we come to some consensus. And I'll leave my colleagues to address this issue.
Si vous me permettez, je pense que la question de la
If you'll allow me, I think that the coming into force of this bill, with regard to all of the elements of the bill, is very controversial. We heard witnesses on both sides of the issue. Some people said we're not ready. Municipalities are saying we'd like to have more time, but that's not what we're interested in. We want a clear framework. We want the federal and provincial legislation to be clear. Other interveners, like the Police Association of Canada, told us, listen, in BC, there's confusion in people's minds, and we don't know how to act, what to do with regard to law enforcement. We're supposed to enforce prohibition, but legalization has been announced, so we have to go forward based on the announcements made. So there are differing views here. You'll see in the report that there are 3 comments, 3 observations, minority observations. One of them dealing with workplace issues. And I believe that in these minority observations, that might be a possible avenue to call upon witnesses and to look into this issue that was brought up but wasn't really studied in depth. For example, issues with regard to workplace safety, transparency on the part of companies, investment issues as well. There are problems there that were brought up and that were really studied in depth with our witnesses. But workplace issues, that's perhaps a social aspect that is important.
summary of the testimony that we have heard. This issue, of course, has been raised by witnesses, by police forces especially, and I refer to you to their testimony and to the points that they have raised, why they think they need more time. You know, it's not just because it would be better to have 6 months more. Why do they need? What is the reasons why they think that they need more times to make sure that they have all the capacity to address the new situation?
Okay.